Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and I just wanted to give you a quick little message from one of our sponsors, Element. Element. It's spelled L-M-N-T, but pronounced Element. If you haven't heard about this, Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means there's a lot of salt with no sugar, and it's formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited for those doing a keto, low carb, or paleo diet. And I think this is great for athletes, especially in the summertime and when you're training in warmer climates. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. None of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers. That's it. I like the unsweetened one because the other flavors do have a little stevia, but stevia doesn't do well in my body. So I prefer the unsweetened Element, and I like the packets because I can throw them in my bike bag when I go on a long bike ride or when traveling, and I can just dump a packet in my water, and it keeps me so much more hydrated. Because remember, we don't sweat out water, we sweat out minerals. So check it out. You've got a nice little gift from them if you use our discount code Drink Element. I'll put the link in the show notes. But using the code Low Carb Athlete, you get a free gift with purchase. You get a free Element sample pack with any order when you order with Low Carb Athlete on our special URL code. So support the podcast, support Element. It's backed by science, and we love what they're doing. So try it out. Hey guys, it's Debbie, and I am bringing on Matt Bach. Matthew is a vice president of marketing at TRIDOT. And you may have heard of TRIDOT a lot more if you are on social media. Follow my old coach, Mark Allen. Mark Allen is involved in his coaching program, is now on TRIDOT. And I started looking into it myself as a coach to work with TRIDOT, and saw an email from my old friend Matt Bach, who I met before from UCAN, and we did actually a seminar together with a couple other people at Ironman Hawaii 2018 or 19, talking about how to be the fat adapted endurance athlete for Ironman. So I organized a seminar the week of Ironman Hawaii at Bikeworks pop-up shop in Garmin. So it's pretty cool. So we reconnected, and I wanted him to come on the show, talk about how TRIDOT works, how it's different. So Matt actually did triathlons himself as well, and he actually won Ironman Maryland in 2014, doing an 8-hour, 51-minute race time. Pretty impressive. Placed 72nd overall in Kona 2015. He worked on Wall Street as a trader and portfolio manager for 9 years, earned his MBA from Temple University, worked in marketing for UCAN, where I met him, for 2.5 years, and now has been leading TRIDOT's marketing efforts the last 2 years. He has a wife and 3 kids and 2 long-haired miniature dachshunds, which I call wiener dogs, right? Those little guys. And he is in New Jersey, outside of New York City. And we are going to talk about how TRIDOT works. If you are looking at getting involved in any races this year, or maybe you're just training for fun as I am. I don't have a race. I just like to swim, bike, and run. As I raced many years, I don't really have the drive to race anymore, but I still like training. Maybe I'll do a sprint or Olympic distance triathlon here in San Diego this summer, but I raced for so many years. Well, I started Danskin Triathlon and, oh my gosh, I'm really old, 2000, Not even 1995. And then I was doing the dance again and started getting to cycling events like Seattle to Portland long bike ride and started doing marathons. And let's see, the poster's in front of me. San Diego Rockall Marathon, May 23rd, 1999 was my first marathon. Then I did Maui Marathon with Team and Training the next year, New York Marathon, and got sucked in and started doing Ironmans in 2001. So I know I've raced many years and was just all into it. And I know a lot of you are like that. I'm kind of rather just coach you to be a better athlete. I was in it so long and just all I did, anyone that was a friend that wanted me to come visit them, if they lived out of town, they said, oh, there's a race. Do you want to come visit? There's a race. Because I seem to be known to only go places on a vacation if it was a race related vacation, or else I never went anywhere. So I wouldn't miss my training. I'd always have to be home to get my long bike rides in and long swims, and running you can do anywhere, but getting that open water swimming, then doing a long run on the weekend or long ride after the long swim on Saturdays was kind of what I did for years. And, now I'm good. So I've been there, done that, but I want to help you figure out how to perform your best in some upcoming races. And because over my years, I've kind of transformed over the last 10 years to be more of a holistic coach and how I look at things through a different lens as a nutritional therapy practitioner. I did Paul Chek's, the Chek Institute Holistic Lifestyle Coach certification. I think that was 2015. And then I did more recently, 2019, the FDN practitioner, which is Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Practitioner certification. So I could run functional lab tests through our medical director program and really collect more clues how to create a program for athletes, endurance athletes specifically is my area, and put together a whole program. And part of that is doing, figuring out your nutrition based on genetics, based on your lab test, and work on proper digestion and gut health, and get the exercise, the right type of training. Make sure you're doing strength training and not too much excessive high heart rate training, balancing that 80-20 principle of the 80%. You're doing that zone 1-2, maffetone, max aerobic heart rate, and then when appropriate, adding in speed work. And it's going to be different for everyone. So I loved what TRIDOT was doing because they're integrating all this together, a lot of what I do, into a program, and looking at your biometrics as heart rate variability, I think is really important to analyze, ideally with a chest strap, so it's more accurate than our Oura rings that we use, or Whoop straps, or your Apple Watch or Garmin, and collecting data to know, are you recovering in between your workout sessions? Are you having any red flags that we need to stop, pause, and reset and course correct your fueling training program? Are you having enough playtime? Are you laughing, having a good time with friends? Are you going out for some just basic nature walks or beach walks or nice hikes without always having to be training it so intensely? So this is kind of how I train people, is based on my own experience from years and knowing kind of the old me to the new me, that we need to add a little bit of life, laughter, play, and fun, gratitude, happiness into our high charging, athlete driven, ambitious personalities that are a little bit uptight, so stuck on following a schedule, being rigid with that schedule, and not stopping and going, I kind of feel like crap today, or I need to rest, or I need to actually go do something with my friends, or I need to spend more time with my family. So we need to use some common sense, some intuition, and really paying attention to the metrics and doing something with it. I know so many people that just collect data and don't use it. So TRIDOT can use that information and look at some of your genetics with exercise and recovery and put them into a program that we can help get a more personalized training schedule based on specific races. And what's cool about it, it can you can train even on some of those courses virtually, and then look at the temperature of where you're racing and altitude. I mean, it's amazing what data, AI stuff you can collect and assess. But we still need humans. You still need human touch to connect each week and be accountable. And let's talk about those workouts and not just follow some program online. I really believe we need to, work on eating and not eating, but eating more around your workouts and quality key nutrition and not getting the crap. And then how are you starting the day and ending your day to optimize your sleep, which is that recovery and repair and when your body detoxify. And how are you managing your stress? Because if you're doing all this training schedule and you are burning the candle at both ends, say goodbye to racing in the future. So chronic stress accumulates from external sources and internal sources that are hidden that you don't know about until we reveal those sources of stress with functional lab testing. And then we correlate that all together. And then we work on what can we do to manage it? What can we adjust? And simple things as stop, pause, and breathe for 1 minute, right? So all this stuff, NutriSense, using your CGM, and I really love putting this all together, but it's a lot. And so that's why I wanted to connect with TRIDOT, because I can't do all that on my own. And, you'd be charging $3,000 a month for an intensive program that's really that detailed. So this makes it a little more affordable, and more people can, budget for this type of coaching and work with a coach that understands them and is aware of how you can overtrain and under recover and do too much in your life outside of training that can impact the whole you. So remember my story, Life is Not a Race, It is a Journey. It's on Amazon, and you can read all about what happened to me so you understand my why and why I continue to do all these educational programs and Dr. Stacy Sims programs. I'm taking her certification course. Eventually, I'm going to start PNOE metabolic testing, resting and exercise testing, to put that into my local athletes' protocols and Training Peaks or TRIDOT data, and then lab testing. It's so amazing to put this all together. Look at all this data through your watches and devices and heart rate variability and blood sugar and all that. So anyways, that's what we're talking about today, how TRIDOT works. Why is it different? Why should you sign up for it? It is a triathlon training program, and they do have other platforms coming out soon. We'll talk about for running. Only if you're not a triathlete, should you sign up for this? And how AI delivers more results, but how you still need a coach. We can't just have programs that you're not having human contact and connection and a coach working with you. So computers can only do so much. So they have different packages. I'll put all the information in the show notes. I just really believe we need personalized coaching programs, and TRIDOT is combining that together. AI with human touch, human connection. And really you need to, adjust and course correct as we go. So I will be working with them and combining my holistic method into the program and seeing what I can do with the nutritional therapy and look at your functional lab testing so we can combine it all together. But I'm excited to, get into their group and learn more. So let's dive into what is TRIDOT all about and how does it work. So ideally, you can watch our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe because I put little smaller videos in there every now and then. But Matt will share his screen on the TRIDOT program so you can kind of see how it works and how you set it up. So we'll do a kind of a walkthrough. So this is on an audio version, but go to the Low Carb Athlete YouTube channel, subscribe, and check out the video with Matt. All right, enjoy the show. Let me know your questions. Hey guys, I've got my friend Matt Bach on the show today to talk about how to fuel, train, and perform your best in races this year with TRIDOT. And I am so fascinated with TRIDOT. I reached out to Matt, and I know Mark Allen, my old coach, is a part of it, and some other people I know. And I am jumping on board to be a coach with TRIDOT. And I wanted to share you the program and how it works and why coaches are looking at using TRIDOT because of that. We'll go over it, but just how amazing it is for athletes. So Matt, welcome aboard and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on. And I know we've known each other for quite a while now. I guess it's been at least 4-ish years. When I came on the show at one point talking nutrition when I was working at UCAN, and I was very excited to hear from you, about TRIDOT, and that we connected on that, and circled up with the Mark Allen connection there. And excited to see you coming aboard.
Well, it's funny. I texted Mark yesterday. I go, I started on the Mark Allen Elite team 20 years ago. I feel so old. I don't realize how fast time goes because I don't have children. So when I was looking at something with Mark, because he's coming here to San Diego Sunday to speak at the San Diego Tri Club with Bob Abbott on Sunday night. And I was looking back at, God, how long have I known Mark? And then I realized 2004, I started Ironman in 2001. In 2004, I joined Mark's coaching program in the elite team. And then I was off of it until I finished racing Ironman Hawaii 2012 and tried a couple more times after that. But you and I did a seminar at Ironman Hawaii. You guys were part of the how to be fat adapted and how to fuel train and perform as a low carb athlete or endurance athlete, not just low carb, but just that was 2000, what year? 2018, right?
It was 2019.
19, yeah.
The last one before everything went crazy.
Yeah, I know. So it's super cool. I just actually talked to Panos from Pinoe Metabolic Testing Cart that I'm going to do some testing with, but I met him there too. So I kind of missed the old days of Ironman Hawaii Race Week when we all could connect and network and meet other like-minded individuals. And who knows what will happen. It'll be now in Nice, France, and then Kona, Hawaii every year. So it'll be a little different.
Split, that'll be interesting.
So let's kind of dive into TRIDOT. How do you work for TRIDOT? How do you get involved in it? And we'll talk about what even TRIDOT is, because most people might not be familiar with it.
Yeah, so I came aboard, I guess, almost 2 years now, and I knew Jeff and the team at TRIDOT from my days at UCAN, because I was the person over at UCAN managing the TRIDOT relationship. We've been business partners for a long, long time, still are, and now I'm on the TRIDOT side managing the UCAN relationship. So kind of interesting there, and but I'm the VP of marketing, and I mean, I had known the team at TRIDOT for a while. I knew the people, I knew they were like high quality people, and I knew something about TRIDOT. I'd always been intrigued by it. And then when Jeff texted me at one point, like, "Hey, we've got a marketing position opening at the company," he was like, "Do you know of anybody who's interested? You know a lot of people." And I kind of just raised my hand. I was like, "You know what? I'd like to learn more about that." And rest is history. Kind of came aboard, and so TRIDOT it's remarkable in the sense that there is so much data these days that no human could possibly synthesize all of it. And it does such an incredibly effective job of pulling in all the data that we have now and providing you with a training plan. So TRIDOT is a triathlon training platform that uses huge amounts of data and AI to deliver better results in less time. It's ultra personalized to you. It's dynamic in that it'll automatically update your schedule to give you an optimized balance of training, stress, and recovery. It can be used with or without a coach, and it has subscription levels to fit any budget from $14.99 a month to $29 to $99, $149, or up to the premium level where you have a one-on-one dedicated coach like Coach Debbie Potts. Most charge kind of between that $200 to $400 range per month for their white glove service. And so with TRIDOT, it's the coach is allowed and able to spend more of their time working with the athlete rather than sitting there tediously punching in a plan into Training Peaks or Final Surge or whatever platform they're using. So then there's just that more dedicated delivery of other services that are the human elements of the sport. In your case, Debbie, the holistic method, it allows you more time to focus on that rather than focusing all your time on punching in training plans.
Yeah. Well, I know I've coached people, triathlons and marathons and cycling events stuff for a long time. And I've always used Training Peaks, and it's getting complicated because, as you said, I've started focus last 10 years more and more currently the holistic method, where as a nutritional therapy practitioner and a FDN practitioner, I look at their nutrition from a different lens. The when, why, how we eat, where, and then their exercise program. But I also work on the stress management, the sleep hygiene routine, optimizing your sleep, tracking your sleep, looking at movement throughout the day. Are you doing some mobility drills? Are you doing some yoga, some breath work? are you working on digestion, gut health, and hydration, getting enough balancing minerals, and happiness, gratitude, and how to deal with that. Yeah.
Just like all those things you're saying, those things are so critical to the overall triathlon experience, but also to your performance too.
Yes.
They go directly into that. Recovery is such a massive pillar of what you're doing, and you can't really absorb the training that you're doing unless you're recovering properly and eating properly and all of those things, getting proper sleep. And so all of those things that you just mentioned. And it's interesting because over the years, triathlon has very much moved, and triathlon coaching has very much moved into a place where a coach is like synonymous with the plan, and it's remote, and the coach doesn't really spend a lot of time on all of those things that you're talking about that are so critical, because they're spending so much time to make it a worthwhile business for them and effective business on just writing the plan. And so it's amazing now to have the technology that can have technology, TRIDOT, do what technology does best, so that the coach can do what the coach does best, the human does best, in all of those things that you just listed, and others too. For some people it's bike fit and form analysis and, all sorts of mental coaching, or, other things that it's their specialty, and, you have your specialties in the holistic method.
Yeah. And that's why, I love this program. We'll get into how it works and different than Training Peaks, because I can't do it all. And to do all that and do their functional lab test assessment, create personalized protocols for people, do their genetic assessment, it's really hard. So I have to charge, my VIP comprehensive package is $1,500 a month. And I work for other people, and their packages are $3,000 a month. And so it's a lot of money. And so it leaves a lot of people not being able to afford services. So for me to help more people and make more impact in the endurance community, to help athletes of all levels be fit and healthy from the inside out, this to me seems just the logical way to go to help make a difference in our society, especially the aging athletes. And like I keep saying, training for your future self, that we're not breaking ourselves down and burning out your body systems like I did.
And me. I know we connected on that over the years too. And, I think I might have even come on to share about that years ago. My own experience with it. It's very real.
But it's kind of what my purpose is now. I feel that is strong desire to help other athletes. And now I'm finally sharing my story more. And it's like, all right, I'm in the right place. And I moved to San Diego so I can actually improve quality of life and leave that crazy schedule I had. But now it's like, how can I figure out how to coach people and what's the best outlet to do it? And that's why I connected with TRIDOT, because what we'll go into is how it works, and we'll give you visual aid if you're watching the YouTube channel, because there's so much data to collect. And I know my avatar client is someone like myself. They're a driven, ambitious, high charging athlete that they're using the Oura ring. And a lot of people use Oura and Whoop and their Apple Watch, and they just thrive on more is better, which I'm less is more philosophy, the new me. It's like, cut it, minimize it. And then wearing a CGM, NutriSense we use, and tracking your blood sugar, tracking your nutrient intake and macros, and figuring all that. But so to do that on, not dissing Training Peaks because I like it, but how does Training Peaks differ from a TRIDOT, and what we can go into that, but let's kind of go into the differences of the two, because a lot of people already use Training Peaks. So why should they switch?
Yeah. So Training Peaks at its core is, and it does a great job of it, is a log. It's really a place for you to upload your workouts and be able to see it visually. They do a good job with the visual representations. I've used Training Peaks for a long, long time. Now on my phone, Training Peaks has the little cloud with the little arrow thing, because I don't go in there anymore. I just go to TRIDOT, and I'm very happy to go into that platform, because TRIDOT serves also as a log. It has all the visual pretty charts and a place for you to upload your training, but it also has, and that's really where the similarities end. Beyond that, TRIDOT is focused on, and where it's our bread and butter is creating the optimized triathlon training, the prescription training for the future. What are we going to do with all the data? What are we going to do with your training history, with all the other plethora of factors that TRIDOT is taken into account, including your, basic things like your age and your gender, how long you've been in the sport, what your recent training looks like, your environment. It's very difficult to take in your environment, but TRIDOT does that. On a 95-degree day, you're going to train differently than you would on a 55-degree day or at elevation. So it'll actually adjust your zones based off of your environment. Genetics. So if you have a 23andMe or an Ancestry.com file, you can upload your genome file into TRIDOT, and it'll actually take into account your genes. I mean, how personalized can you possibly get with that? your genes themselves, there's something like 21 or so SNPs that have shown through research and through TRIDOT's machine learning has learned from that what impact those have. So on your injury predisposition, on your aerobic potential, on your training stress response, your training intensity response, and your recovery rate. So those sort of four categories are, are you really strong in one and weak in another? Like TriDot will actually morph your training and fit it around who you are very, personally as an individual.
Does it do nutrition at all too with the genetics? Like does it look at the nutrition as well as training, like how to train power versus endurance? Does it take into those SNPs?
Training, power versus endurance, yes. Nutrition, no. So that at this point is something that technology, at least technology does not do as well as a person could do, as Coach Debbie could do. And that's, again, going back to like where the coach comes in. There are so many things beyond just the training that the coach can lend their expertise and their support to you. And that's where the coaches come in. We love our coaches. We're not here to replace the coach.
Exactly.
People hear data and AI and they think, oh, like you're here to replace us. Like, no, we love our coaches. We have 140 coaches on the the coach platform at this point and growing rapidly because it is just so great for it.
Yeah. So the genetics are part of it, so we can help figure out that. But I think the recovery is so essential, as we were talking a little bit about before, that you have to, train hard, but recover harder, especially for us aging athletes that are, over 40. Now I'm suddenly 50, something that I know I need a little more recovery. So I'm tracking my heart rate variability score and listening to my body, how I feel. So how does TriDot take in the data, and how does a coach see, we should adjust that workout, or let's switch this around?
Yep. So TriDot does a lot of that for you as far as the balance of the training and the recovery. So it's taking into account all the data that, like you said, there's so many wearables now that it's abundant. I mean, no person could possibly synthesize all that. Mark Allen says it himself. He's like, no human could possibly take into account all the data that we have nowadays, but technology can, TriDot can. So it takes into account all those different data points that are coming in from your heart rate monitors, your power meters, your foot pods, you name it. It's coming into the platform and then optimizing the balance between training stress and recovery so that you're making the most out of your time and you're recovering properly so that you're getting better faster. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time that, in nearly every case, it results in less training. So higher quality, but less quantity type of training, where every minute that you're training is being effective and very intentional so that you're getting the most out of it, which leads back to what you said before about burnout, where for me, at least in 2013, I was just training way too much. I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't polarizing enough. I wasn't doing the quality versus quantity kind of approach. I was just driving myself into the ground, and it led me into some, pretty terrible places health-wise and performance-wise. But then with TriDot, it's finding that correct balance. Generally, athletes are training 30% less and getting better results with TriDot because of the fact that it's just more efficient and optimized.
And I think that's a good reminder that when we were training, like I said, I started 2001 and then 2003 doing the Mark Allen Elite team, 2004, we started the team, but we were doing the training program, which is all great. But nowadays it's so different because we have the access to all this data. So we know when we're starting to see some red flags. Then back then, we didn't know that. We didn't have an Oura ring. We didn't have heart rate variability testing I started to do that 2013 test, but it was after the fact that I was already broken. So it is so essential to avoid that burnout and breakdown. What you can do to prevent overtraining and under recovery is key. Mm-hmm. So, I always wonder why I find a lot of people track, but they don't even listen or adjust their workouts or, even in their nutrition and fasting. If they look at this data, they just like, oh, that's what it is. And then continue on with the day. It's like actually use this information we're collecting and do something with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a good point where there's so much data, but then what do you do with it?
Yeah.
TriDot knows what to do with it, but there's really not a lot of companies out there that are actually using that data in a really effective way to do something with it. Like, what do you do? Like, okay, great. My heart rate variability is this, or my heart rate is this. And my, sleep profile looks like this. Like, what do you do with it? But
every client I have does that though. They collect all this stuff. They're not using it and they don't even know what it means. So that's why I think it's important to invest in a coach and have a program that you're using this and help someone interpret it. Even the genetic programs, like I've done so many, the DNA Company, DNA Fit, another DNA thing, and Viome, and you get all this information, but you just put it aside and save it in a file and never even look at it.
Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. But how can you take that and then apply it to a program to make it even more personalized? So what we're trying to do is create a program that's designed specifically for you because you are the unique individual, and that there's not, I just hate all these one size fits all coaching programs because, you need to adjust things. Start with a template, but I'm not same as somebody else, but how does a coach actually create a program for me based on my body and my energy and my hormone cycle for females? Like, how do I know what's best to do? And how can someone look out for me to do that correctly? So I am improving my performance. I am getting stronger and faster and leaner, whatever your goals are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's so many factors that go into it from a personalized standpoint, even just from a life perspective, right? You have nurses who have 4 10-hour shifts or 4 12-hour shifts. And, so how do you fit your schedule around that? And how do you tailor a training platform, a training schedule, to fit that? The coach comes in and can make the edits on that in that case. But how do you, have the proper amount of training to fit it into your life so that it's actually helping you fulfill your own goals and being, ultra personalized?
Okay. Awesome. So if you are not training for a race, so if I'm not doing an Ironman, maybe I want to do Olympic distance race this summer, or maybe I just want to train. Can I still sign up if I don't have a big Ironman race to do?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you enter your races. That's one of the first things we prompt you to do is add your race, because it allows TRIDOT to tailor the training program for you very specifically to prepare you for that race. So you enter it as an A, B, or C race. C races it'll train through. B races it'll do some accommodation with a taper and recovery. But then an A race is what it'll actually train you specifically for. So if it's an Ironman or if it's a sprint distance tri or an Olympic or anywhere in between, you put that in as your A race. TRIDOT will prepare you specifically for the demands of that race and have you peak and recover and taper and all that for that specific race.
What if it's 2 years from now?
You can still put it in there. It's gonna prepare you with a development phase that's going to get you much stronger, much faster. Generally, what the machine learning engine and the algorithm has found from all the research and the learning that's learned through the data is that a fast before far, strong before long approach tends to work best, deliver the best results. And that means that generally what you'll see when you have your TRIDOT training, it'll have you in the development phase further out from your race. You'll raise your ceiling, which is your threshold, your VO2 max. Mm-hmm. And with that raised ceiling through threshold and VO2 max and hill workouts and strength building workouts, heavy gear things, then you start layering in during the race prep phase. TRIDOT will start layering in stamina work, which is then leading you to be prepared specifically for the race that you're preparing for, your A race, the demands of that race. So if it's a long race like an Ironman, it'll have you doing longer 4, 5, 6 hour rides and brick workouts so that it's preparing you in zone 2, zone 3 for the demands of an Ironman. But if then it's your A race is an Olympic distance tri, then it's going to have you doing shorter workouts that are more intense, but that are more like what it is that you're doing for the Olympic distance race. So very specific to what you've got in your calendar. It's an important thing to do in TRIDOT. But then if you don't have a race at all, you just want to swim, bike, and run as a lifestyle, you could do that too. TRIDOT will continue to prescribe workouts and sessions for you, even if there's no race in the schedule.
So you can enter in a fake race?
You could, or you just don't enter in a race at all.
Okay.
It'll still prescribe training. It'll still have training in there, swim, bikes, and runs. It'll just kind of give you a nice variety and something that's very tailored to you.
Yeah. And what about men versus women? How do we personalize it gender wise and not make it just everyone is not a program, we'll show visual, but how people get started with their swim, bike, run information on their pace and their heart rate, power, and then male versus female. Anything on that we want to tackle, or just jump into sharing the program?
A little bit on that. Yeah. So when you create your TRIDOT account, you go through an onboarding process, it only takes a few minutes, but it's to create your account. And some of the questions that it asks are, what's your age, what's your gender, and it helps you input some of your performance history and your performance ability and things like that. Connect your device, so that it can create this very personalized approach for you. And so one of those questions is regarding gender. So if you are a female and you're on the platform, TRIDOT under the hood in this algorithm is looking at the thousands and thousands and thousands of triathletes that have come into TRIDOT and provided the data to the platform. The more data there is there, the better it becomes. And we have an absolutely massive data set. There's tens of millions of data points in there in training sessions, and over 75,000 athletes on the platform that, we have data that can help the engine learn and know the best way to train somebody just like you. So somebody, let's say like 58 years old female that is at this elevation and has this performance history that you've been swimming for a couple of years only, but you've been running all your life, and your FTP is this and your 5K time is this. Like it'll very specifically take people that are very much like you and look at what the training approach is that worked best for all those other people. And so it can very specifically cater the training to be what you need to be your best and improve the fastest.
Yeah. And so people need to know their information on their splits for swimming, biking, running. What's kind of let's explain that a little bit to figure out where you are at your baseline. Do you want to go into that?
Does it make sense to share my screen now so I can show some of that?
Probably now would be good, I would think. I'm a visual learner. So if you guys are listening, you may want to watch the Low Carb Athlete YouTube channel, because I like to see, which is why I have my blue blockers. My eyes burn off these computer screens. So I've got screen is bright. So let's share this. So when you sign up, and we'll put the link in the show notes, people are interested in checking it out. I'll let you take it over, Matt. But when you first sign up, how does it figure out your swim, bike, run, where you are baseline?
So actually, I'll take you through the onboarding process right now, actually. So just go right to the TRIDOT.com site and just show you what that looks like. People should use the link that's in the show notes. That'll take you directly there. But if you're creating a new account, you're just going to punch in. I'm just going to put a little test email so I can create this.
So we'll go to TRIDOT.com and we'll put the links in the show notes if you want to get on our group page. And then it will ask you questions because we want to know, what are the basics. So just basic information, but then certain data we want to collect on where you are currently as a swimmer, biker, and runner.
Yep. So it's going to do that. So I'm just typing my first name, last name, gender. I'm typing I live in Roseland, New Jersey, just outside of New York City. I want standard metrics. My birthday is 12/21/1986. I'm 6 feet tall. I think it's pre-populated because I've done this a few times. Takes you to the next step where you connect your app. So I'm just going to say for now, I'm going to skip this, but usually you would want to do that. That's a key thing. So I'd connect it to your Garmin or whatever it may be. And then my performance. So let's start with your swim. Let's calculate my swim FTP. Okay, yards. Let's say for a 400 yard, it's my best pace for a 400 yard. I'm going to say 130 per 100 yards.
So explain what FTP is. People are new to this. What is FTP?
Functional threshold power or functional threshold pace is what that means. So really it's a measure of your performance ability so that your training zones can be built off of that. And if you're not really sure what your best pace would be for a 400 yard, you can just use these prompts down here and say, okay, I'm new to the sport. I'm over 236 per 100 yard, or I'm developing between 204 and 236. You can kind of just select a category and it'll put you there as a starting point. And then after you do an assessment, it'll update your performance ability, your swim FTP, so that all of your training zones are that much more accurate. So for now, I'll just say 130. Go ahead.
And that's with no accessories, no paddles, no swim buoy, fins.
Yeah, correct.
Naked swimming with your swimsuit, but naked.
Like you would in a triathlon. So current longest weekly swim session defaults to an hour. I'm just going to say that, sure, for now. So now my swim dot is 65, which is competitive. It's between 0 and 100. That tells you.
So what is a swim dot?
It's your TRIDOT scores. Actually, it says right here, your TRIDOT scores between 1 and 100 quantify your performance ability. They're also equalized based off of your age and your gender. So this is an equalized version of my swim dot here. Between 1 and 100, I'm a 65 based off of the fact that I swim 130 for 400 yards. And So when you do another assessment in the future, let's say I swim 125 per 100 yards, my swim dot might bump up from a 65 to a 69 or 68. And so you've bumped the dot. Right? So you can now see, okay, I've gotten better in the swim in a measurable way. This is also, you can compare this versus your previous self, let's say as you get faster or slower, if you take time off. And you can also compare this versus your other disciplines. So moving on to the next one, I'm a 65 in the swim based off of what I just put in for a 15-mile time trial. Let's say I'm 45 minutes. And again, there's these prompts here that you can use that to select if you're not sure how long it would take you. My longest weekly bike session, and then boom, my bike dot is 59. So relative to the swim, my bike is a relative weakness compared to my swim at a 65. If let's say I punch in the run, 5K, and I run, let's say I have a running background and I ran 1640 for the 5K.
Are you that fast?
Runs,
That's fast.
Used to be. used to be. I ran 1553 in high school, but those days are long gone. So my run dot might come in at elite.
Wow.
And this is also equalized, which means that it's for age and gender. So this is comparing me versus other people in my age group, basically. So people that are like me by age and gender. So somebody might
hold on though, but interruption real quick. That age group, is that like 30 to 34, 35, 39? What's an age group?
It's more continuous than that.
Okay.
So it's not buckets, discrete buckets.
Not like a race cake.
Age group, but it's people that are close to you in age and gender. We have so many data points that we can actually hone in even more specifically.
Wow. Great.
It's on a curve, on a continuum. So 80, let's give you an example of, let's say you're a 78-year-old female and you happen to be able to run, let's say a 22-minute 5K, or you're flying as a 78-year-old female. Your 22-minute 5K might be, I'm not sure, but let's just say a 45 on an absolute basis for your run dot. But your equalized run dot as a 78-year-old female who can still run a 22-minute 5K might be a 91, right, or 97. It might be really, really high up there. So it's really cool as an aging athlete, as you mentioned, like an aging athlete, you can see how you compare versus other athletes of the same age and gender, instead of just looking at your run dot or any of your dots, let's say, staying the same or going down over time because you're past your peak of your lifespan. You can look at these equalized ones and still watch it going up and up and see that you are an elite level athlete given your age and gender.
Cool.
So we're going to take me to my training, and then we're referred by my coach. Let's say Coach Debbie Potts. There she is. That's my coach. And then this will take you into the platform, which actually I'll just jump over to here. This is obviously just kind of sample swim sessions until your training gets built. Execution points, actually, since this popped up, there's some cool features in here. Actually, I'll pop over to the other screen to show you some of that stuff, but there's some cool features in here that give you feedback. One, the TRIDOT scores that I already showed you, but then as you can see here, Power Builder is a workout that one of my athletes did, and he got a 90 TrainX score. So a TrainX score is between 0 and 100, and it shows you how well you executed the workout. So after you've done the workout, you upload it and it pops into TRIDOT. You can look and say, okay, I got a 90 on this. That's solid. That's great. He means he executed this workout really well. 94 on the MAV shuttles here. In some of the other ones, it might be a 40, right? The execution was very, very poor. Maybe at that point, we decided that he wasn't even going to attempt to do that workout. He needed more recovery. And so we had him do something else. Or maybe he didn't have enough time to do the workout as prescribed. Whatever the case may be, it gives you an immediate feedback on how well you executed the workout so that you can execute well over time, do the right training right.
And so you can move the days around. So you know which days, if you tend to bike Tuesday, Thursday, run Wednesday, Friday. But if you have some life events, I always have clients on Sunday, look ahead, what the week of your life schedule, kids schedule, travel schedule, work, and then figure out where your workouts go if we need to move things around.
Yep. So as, I think it has me logged into the other account again all of a sudden. So it's messing things up, but, you can just drag and drop the sessions from one day to another, and it'll then revamp your schedule going forward. So, it's easy to do. The athlete can do it. The coach can do it. But then, as you were mentioning, as far as preferences down here. You can actually change it to fit your life very, very well. So if your swim volume, let's say in the case where you're training for a marathon and you want to use TRIDOT to do so, you can change your swim volume to be low and your bike volume to be low and change your run volume to be high, or keep it at standard, and it'll train you, and then add the marathon into your race schedule, and TRIDOT will train you through cross training, but mainly running, to prepare you for the marathon exceptionally well. You can select which day you want to do your long bike session, which day you want to do your long run session. You can, if you wanted to just run leading into your marathon, you could say run only. And as long as you don't have a triathlon in your schedule, then it'll just have runs in your schedule. Otherwise, it'll include some swimming bikes, because you need to do that in order to properly do a triathlon. You can select which day of the week you want off, or none. None, it means that TRIDOT doesn't have a constraint on it, stopping it from allowing it to optimize. So none actually tends to be better, because it can spread the training out and spread the training stress out more over time. But if you feel like, hey, I just want a day completely off, then maybe it's Sunday, or maybe it's a busy day at work on Wednesdays every week. And so Wednesday is going to be your day off. You can select that.
And then what about strength training and yoga? Where can we fit that in?
Yep. So strength training will actually be provided for you with a trial, with the premium level, with complete level. Strength training sessions will be put into your calendar for you. Because I just started this account here, it says unlock strength sessions perk. You would have an unlock to be able to do that and do that for your complete level. But just because this is a trial, I don't have that on there right now. So strength training will be put right in there, and you would go in and, tell TRIDOT I completed that session each time. Yoga it does not have, so it won't tell you to do yoga. So that would be up to you as the coach to prescribe yoga sessions on a weekly basis if you want to have that be part of their program.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it makes it easier. And then I like how you can change the focus area, because if you're just trying to do the minimal effective dose and, get your key workouts in and then do shorter workouts during the week, and, maybe a veteran triathlete that's done endurance. So you've got the endurance down, but you just need shorter workouts now, and then just one long one that you can kind of switch it up that way with your coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like right now for me, I'm putting my training on the back burner. So I have swimming and biking on low for now, and I've got running at standard. And so I'm able to run out the door and go get a run in more often than I am to swim the bike. So for my lifestyle right now with 3 kids and a busy career, I have it set there.
Especially in wintertime, if you're not having a race coming up, and if you're not biking as much outside because of the weather and darkness of the day in the mornings. For me personally, I think it is, changing at wintertime versus summer, kind of prepping for a race in the summer, but doing foundational training and building that base up. But yeah, I think that's pretty amazing. So how we find it personalized program is more just taking in your kind of where you are now. And then when you complete a workout, will we track heart rate and power, heart rate variability? How would the adjustments be made based on the person's completed workout? If we can touch on that a little bit. If we miss anything.
So where your devices, where your heart rate strap and your power meters and foot pods or whatever it is that you have, and then that data gets uploaded into your Garmin or whatever device it is, or right up into TRIDOT. And TRIDOT will look at those things, look at the relationships between heart rates and power, takes into account all that data. It'll measure your execution of the workout based off of the power, let's say like the power data that it's getting on the bike, and the pace data from run and swim and bike potentially, so that it'll measure how you did in that session versus what the prescribed session was, and therefore give you that TRINX score, and use all the data so that it can prescribe future sessions, knowing that you just did what you did. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then is there a place to keep track of notes? So if we want to do a race report, so someone just did a winter race, can we add in race report, how you felt, kind of self-evaluation, as well as any nutritional information?
Yep. There's all places in there under athlete notes and coach notes where you can just input that. It's right there on the sessions. So it's, here, I'll just share my screen again real quick, show you where that is on one of the sessions. There's a couple of other places to put these notes too, but one of them is just right here at the bottom of the session. So this is the sample swim session. You see, 2 rounds of 6x150, zone 2, and 2x50 is zone 5. So you can read through it and add a note down here. So this would be a note that you could reference yourself as the athlete, or that the coach could go in and take a look at.
Okay, so keep that screen for a second. So on here, connecting your health data. So if you have, most people I think use Garmin, right? And their heart rate monitor, and then people power meters on their bike.
Yep.
And then do you find a lot of people measuring heart rate variability from an Oura ring, or how are they collecting their other biometrics?
Yep. So we're in the process of integrating with several different, our developers. They have it in their queue to integrate with things like Oura Ring and Whoop. So right now that data isn't pulling into TRIDOT for Oura or Whoop, but a lot of the things that you would have, your trainers and your power meters and your foot pods like Stride, your heart rate monitors and your pace and GPS watches, all that data is all getting pulled in to TRIDOT. There's also health, so sleep metrics and things that are getting pulled in if you connect your health data.
Where would the sleep come from? The sleep would come from where?
If your Garmin, if your device, your Apple Watch or your Garmin has sleep data, then it could be pulled in and used. In this case, you're connect, like let's say health data from Garmin Connect or Garmin, your watch. If you're wearing it throughout the day, any of the data that's in the Garmin throughout the day, not just during your training, could also be pulled into TRIDOT and used.
Good. Yeah, I think it's really important. And I just did a great podcast with Rhonda Collier on heart rate variability testing, and with Dr. Jay Wiles a while ago on heart rate variability testing, in that the Oura and the Garmin, all these just have the light on the back of it reading it, versus a true heart rate variability score, best, wearing that heart rate strap and measuring it 3 to 5 minutes, ideally 5 minutes in the morning to get your true number. So if people want to know if all those numbers are actually correct, if you really want to have recovered, I'd do a heart rate strap recovery and then enter it in that way. Because I think a lot of times people don't really pay attention to the variations of their HRV, but getting a true test at least a couple times a week would be good to supplement with their other devices.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so if someone's traveling, or maybe they wake up and they're sick, we're able to make adjustments that way, right?
Yeah, the coach is the best way. So you as the coach would go in and make the adjustments to their training. The athlete could do that as well by either just not doing a session or two if they don't feel like they're up for it, or they can move it, let's say, to later in the week, or just delete it straight out of the calendar. If you miss several sessions, then TRIDOT will take into account when you've missed sessions so that it will revamp your future training. So let's say you just stopped training for 10 days because you were horribly sick for 10 days, right? And you couldn't really do anything. But then you came back to training. TRIDOT wouldn't just resume where it left off. It wouldn't throw you back into that and potentially injure you. It would ease you back in. Yeah. And especially your long sessions just wouldn't be nearly as long as they were in the past. And some of the intensity or volume of the intensity would be pulled down so that you're not just, going to bite off more than you can chew coming back off of an injury or illness.
Yeah, true. So important. And then what's the difference so we have Mark Allen Edition up here, and Mark is, he's working with TRIDOT as his coaching program exclusively now. So what would someone do if Mark Allen, and if they just want to do an online program, or if they want to just have a coach as myself, what are the different options with the Mark's program versus no coach versus working with a coach as Debbie? Let's explain those options.
Yeah, the different options. So the Mark Allen Edition is like a premier type of level where you have content from Mark in the app. So videos that are sort of coaching tips, they're motivational videos. He has workout explainers in here, drill explainers that are Mark Allen himself on camera. Explaining
is it Mark or is it alter ego that he has that that weird guy acts like?
Tommy Buzzcut.
Yeah, Tommy Buzzcut. Is it Mark or Tommy?
It's mostly Mark, but Tommy Buzzcut makes an appearance every once in a while. Gotta love Tommy. He gets pretty well. Mark Allen is quite a character. So you do get some of that personality in the videos, and you can watch them on any given day or any given week. It's motivational tips. It's videos that Mark has put forward to show you what the drills look like, and like how do you do spin-ups on the bike, or what is the purpose of threshold repeats. So he'll go forth and explain how do you actually do your session, your intervals, your threshold workouts, your heavy gear workout. So that's if you start a trial, that's what you end up getting dropped into, is the Mark Allen edition, which is incredible. It's got all that extra content. It has all the bells and whistles and optimization from TRIDOT. The complete level has all the bells and whistles and optimization. But it doesn't have the content from Mark Allen. The essentials level has the core optimization, but not all the bells and whistles, and it doesn't have the Mark Allen content. And then at the lifestyle is really designed for somebody who's a first-time triathlete, or maybe they've only done one triathlon before. They're just looking to do their first short course triathlon, a sprint or an Olympic. And then the premium level is, I want to be coached. I want TRIDOT to design my training, and I want to work with somebody, a dedicated coach, regular communication with Coach Debbie, so that she can help me through the holistic method. She can coach me on nutrition. She can coach me on my mental space and my some emotional support, let's say. Maybe it's tailoring the training around my life and how should I best do that, or coming back from injury or illness, all those things that a human does better than TRIDOT or technology could do. The human has that, the coach is there to provide that and fill that void. So.
And that's another question I haven't talked to the guys at TRIDOT yet about, but what for my female athletes that are premenopausal, I find it fascinating to track their cycle. And I've kind of created a program on Training Peaks, but I haven't done that, and to see what we can do with TRIDOT to map it out. So if your training program each week for a female athlete is going to be very different than a men's workout, because it will change follicular versus ovulation during versus luteal phase, and late luteal phase will be your deload week. So tracking that, I think it's super fascinating new research for females to enhance performance and know when to put their recovery weekend, that last week of their cycle, before they start again. And when you can really hit it hard is right before ovulation, like day 5 to day 14. And, this is so cool to do that. So how to integrate that into a training program is kind of my new thing. I like,
Love
if
that.
we knew all that back then, it'd be so cool. But yeah, we have so much information to really personalize that program.
Yes. And I'm loving the fact that there are studies going out all the time now, more research being done on the female athletes, how the cycle impacts your training and your racing, your performance and all that. It's great. All that research is, our developers. We have got a team of amazing, about 13 or 14 developers now, might even be more than that, 15, that are constantly making the app even better. And one of those things is they're currently having the queue is taking all the research that's out there right now and thinking about how are we going to best utilize all of this new information that we now have, so that female athletes can have their training built in accordance with their cycle. Mm-hmm. So that's not in there yet. That's the place of a coach like you, who can go in and make some of those adjustments on behalf of the athlete. But coming soon will be, in the coming months will be features around that research that's coming out.
Awesome. Yeah. I just love Dr. Stacy Sims' information. And she has actually just listened to a podcast with her and Dr. Gabrielle Lyon's show of women, female athletes. And she does focus on kind of CrossFit, but also endurance athletes, and how with her new book, Roar, or old book, Roar, is being updated 2023. So she has more research, and it's all research based. I used to always be like, I don't know about that. But now it's, it makes so much more sense when you look at the whole picture and how we need to make adjustments to people, for female athletes to excel and perform their best. So it's super fascinating stuff. And then Postmenopausal Woman is her book, Next Level. And then she just revamped their program for that. So yeah, that's on my docket to do her coaching certification for menopause athletes and menopause and premenopause. It's on my long list of stuff I love doing, the genetics with Wild Health, and doing this and doing Pinoe metabolic testing to figure out people's heart rate and metabolic crossover point and figure out their zones. So that's actually another question. We can wrap it up after this. But if you can do a metabolic test and your heart rate zones based on metabolic tests, can we import that data somewhere to make adjustments? So it's not AI, but actually we tested this. This is what you are.
Yeah, you can't import that data right now, but you can make adjustments to your threshold heart rates and things. So you would, mm-hmm. as the coach, again, take that data and manually input that. I mean, maybe at some point that'll be some sort of integration, but at this point, that's not something that.
Yeah, but manual makes sense, because if you do resting tests, you can figure out information, and then we collect data from their exercise tests on the bike and then running treadmill. So it'd be kind of cool. to do that. So yeah, so much information, and I think it's great. But what if someone's not doing triathlons and they just want to do marathons and not a triathlete? Do we have options? Just use it without the swim if they don't like swimming.
Yeah. So a few comments on that. One, yes, you can use TRIDOT without being a triathlete. If you know how to do two of the disciplines or just the running, you could still come on and do the option that I showed you before about selecting run only, and you just add a half marathon, or marathon, or 5K into your race calendar, and it'll train you for that. So that's one way to go about it. Another thing is that in the coming months, we'll be launching a run specific platform called RunDot.
Yeah.
So that is coming soon. But the other option is if you have interest in being a triathlete, but the swim is a barrier for you, as it is for so many. We have a relatively new program that has been incredible called TRIDOT Pool School. And we launched it in August of last year, and we've had about 12 or 14 pool schools to this point. Every one of them has sold out. Every one of them has had incredible results. It's a 6-week program, dry land video instructed prior to where you develop muscle memory in these certain motions and patterns and movement patterns that you need to make the weekend workshop most effective. The weekend workshop is 2 days. It's 4 hours each day. And it's a coach to athlete ratio of 1-3, which is incredible and very, very hands-on. The feedback is extremely quick and rapid, and you learn so much building your stroke from the ground up during this weekend workshop, so that at the end of it, you do a baseline assessment beforehand, you do a baseline assessment afterwards, so that we could measure the improvement of the athletes. And the baseline assessments the assessments after the fact have shown an average of 13% improvement per 100 yards. And so it's like remarkable. You get athletes coming out of the water who have plateaued for a decade, and then they come to try out full school and they drop 18 seconds off of their 100-yard time. And they're, now they're like swimming, 100 or 125 instead of 140 something. And it's mind blowing. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I know they had one here in San Diego, and they have another one here in March and one in Palm Desert too. So I have to figure out how to get. I know I'm in Kona helping at Lava Man Triathlon this March when they're here, so I'll have to try it next time. But that is
we're opening up new ones all the time. San Diego, we have them regularly. McKeely Jones is on deck often. Ironman world champion and Olympic silver medalist. She's there coaching one of the lanes. And she's amazing. We just had
Mark came down. Yeah, Mark came last time too. So I'll see them Sundays. I'll ask when they're doing more this around here.
Well, TRIDOTpoolschool.com is the site, and you can see which ones are listed right now. We're launching more and more all the time. As I said, the demand, people really want to learn, and the word of mouth is out there where people are seeing how huge the improvements are, and they're selling out like crazy. So we just launched actually in London as well, if anybody is over there across the pond.
Yeah, we have a lot of people in Europe, so that's good to know. That's a good question if you don't live in the US, because a lot of people are in London that reach out, or Europe for my listeners. So good to know. All right, guys. So where should everyone go? We'll put the links in the show notes, but tridot.com. And then if people want to learn more about my coaching or Mark Allen, we can put it all in the show notes.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Matt. We'll see you at any of the TRIDOT swim camps this year, or where are you going to be this year?
I'll be all over the place. Every once in a while, I'll try out pool school. Sometimes I'll go to one of the races, like one of the big Ironmans or something. I'll be in. I'll very likely be in Kona and or Nice this year. Still trying to figure out all that. Yeah, I've never been, but we'll see. I'm around. I'm at the races.
All right, we'll see you there.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.